Hey, welcome back to Kidseye. So today I'm going to show you how to use a separatory funnel, or a sep funnel for short. So I ordered my glassware off of Amazon. I ordered a ring stand kit and a sep funnel. So I'm going to show you how to put together the ring stand. So the ring stand comes with a black base that's pretty heavy, and you need the weight to keep it from tipping over. And it also comes with a screw and a little washer. So we're going to remove the top of the stand from the screw and the washer, and then just attach it to the hole in the base. So you put the washer on, and then you put, not a screw, I'm sorry, it's a bolt. Put the bolt on, not the bolt, but the nut, sorry. Put the nut on after the washer. So you have the stand, you screw it through, and then you have a washer, and then the nut. Alright, so in your ring stand kit, you're gonna have 3 rings, depending on which one you get. So you wanna match your ring with your separatory funnel to make sure that the funnel doesn't fall all the way through. So this one's obviously too big, and this one will work. So you want the ring to where it hits about halfway up. My second one, you see, it's obviously too big. So we're going to attach the ring to the ring stand, and the rings have like a little hook. So there's like a little hook here, and then a bolt to tighten it up. So the one I got on Amazon is a little bit flimsier than the ones that you would use in an industrial lab. The ones in the industrial lab are probably twice as thick as this, so you don't want to over crank your bolt. So now let's see. Alright, so now the ring stand is set up. We have our ring, our stand, we're going to set it aside. And we need to assemble our separatory funnel. So a separatory funnel is used for separating out 2 liquids based on the densities. So the heavier liquid is going to be at the bottom, the lighter liquid is going to be at the top. And it goes through a little hole at the bottom, and you have a valve called a stopcock that sits in the middle. And so this is what the valve looks like. So it goes right here in the middle. And again, you have a washer and a nut that keeps it in place. And if the little handle is parallel to the floor or perpendicular to the stopcock, then you know it's closed. If it's parallel to the stopcock, then it's open. So a few extra details about the stopcock is the ground glass joints. So I typically use a 2440 in a lab, and that's what this is. This is the size of the glass joint here, and it's also the size of the glass joint here. So both of these are 2440 ground glass joints. And you can kind of see the hole where liquid flow through. So now you know that it's open and it's closed because you can see the hole. And the number 2 is the size of the glass joint here. Because all these come in different sizes. So you would get a glass blower if you needed one custom to custom make your stopcock. We'll custom make your sep funnel. Okay, so we have our ring stand set up. We're gonna put our separatory funnel inside of it. So before you add any liquid to your sep funnel, you want to make sure you have something underneath to catch it, just in case your stopcock leaks. So when they get old, they wear out a bit, and you can have leakage from the sides, and your experience spills everywhere. So I'm just using a cup because we're in the kitchen, and you use what you have. It's also a good time to adjust the ring stand to make sure that the height is where you want it. And there's a lid that goes into your stopcock, into your step funnel, and it's also a ground glass joint. So one thing about the ground glass joints is that they'll stick. So you want to put some silicone grease on it if you're working in a lab to keep the joint from sticking. Otherwise, well, it'll lock up and you'll have to use a heat gun. So you end up wanting a heat gun at this joint here to loosen the glass to pop it out. And depending on what you have in your separatory funnel, you may not want to put a heat gun to it. But you also don't want to break your separatory funnel. So what I'm going to do here, since I'm at home, use a small amount of petroleum jelly. So a little Q-tip here. And you just need very little of it. You put it in and you give it a swirl. And so that's plenty. You can kind of, you see that it's become translucent. So it was a bit opaque earlier, so now it's clear. And you can tell that's from adding that a little bit of grease there. So you know there's grease there, so you know your joint isn't going to stick. So what I'm going to separate today is just oil and water, just so you can see the differences and kind of how to use the set funnel. So you got a funnel to the top if you need to. It's a regular kitchen funnel. And I have some blue water and a beaker. The beaker I also got on Amazon, so you can just look up plastic beakers and get a beaker. Just gonna fill it, maybe halfway. And then I have some oil. So if you're in a lab, you would use, you're probably working with organic solvents. So the solvents would be a lot thinner than the oil I have here. But I didn't want to use an organic solvent in my kitchen. Picture of that. The reason you would use a set funnel would be to separate out, like I said before, your aqueous and your organic layers when you're doing an extraction. So once you have your mixture in there, you give it a shake, and then you vent it. So you want to turn it away from someone, open the top, and you hear like a little poof depending on what you have in there. So after you've done an experiment, and you're separating out something aqueous from your organic layer, or something organic from your aqueous, you put it in there, give it a shake, and then let it wait. So this is pretty thick, so I'm going to let it I'm going to let it sit for a minute to wait for the layers to separate out. That's loud. Okay, so once you've shaken it, wait, start doing it again. Alright, once you've shaken it, you have to let it sit for a little bit to let the layers separate back out again. Okay, so I waited a few minutes to let it separate out, but you can see that the water layer is starting to form at the bottom. See the dark blue from the water layer, and the top is a little bit yellow, and that's the oil that we added in there. So I'm not gonna wait for the entire thing to separate out, but I wanted to show you that once you let it wait for a little bit, it begins to separate out. So like I said before, you have the stopcock perpendicular to the set funnel. So that means it's at a 90-degree angle to the separatory funnel. You're gonna slowly open it. And as you open it, it's gonna drain out. And once you get to the bottom, you want to go ahead and stop it, because you don't want to get any of the oil in there. And like I said before, you want to make sure you have something underneath to catch it. But you can see here that we caught mostly the water layer. And there's a little bit of oil because it hasn't completely separated out. Okay, so before you saw that it took a while for the oil and the water to separate. Just put some oil in there. So what I'm going to show you is a trick we used to do in the lab is to add some salt to your aqueous layer, to your water. And it makes it more polar because the salt is going to dissociate to sodium and chloride ions. Just gonna make it a little bit more polar so that the two phases don't want to interact. So again, gonna give it a good shake, mix it up, turn it away, vent it, and put it back on. And you can see already that the two layers are forming, when before it took about 5 minutes to get that separation. And now you're getting that separation in a couple of seconds. You want to give it a swirl to kind of get some of that oil off the side of the glass. But again, if you're doing this with organic solvents, you won't, you're not going to work with something that's as thick as the kitchen oil. So you won't have to worry about it sticking so much. And you can just open it up, and you can see you have a smoother layer. So the break there is a lot cleaner, so you know exactly when to stop. I hope this video was helpful in showing you how to use a separatory funnel. Once you're done with everything, the cleanup, you want to use some Dawn dish detergent, and if you have any residue left, use some acetone. That's it. Bye.